Herbert Schiller was a leading figure in the American political economy tradition of media studies. In the 1960s and 1970s, as television and corporate media expanded, Schiller raised urgent questions. Who owns the media? Whose interests does it serve? And how does it shape not just what we see, but what we believe? 1. Key work, Communication and Cultural Domination, 1976. In his most influential book, Schiller introduced the concept of cultural imperialism, arguing that US media exports were not just entertainment, but instruments of ideological and economic control. For Schiller, the global spread of American media, Hollywood films, television programs, advertising, helped extend the reach of US capitalism. Countries in the global south were not only importing cultural products, but also importing values, lifestyles, and consumer habits aligned with Western capitalism. 2. Media myths. According to Schiller, media uses 5 basic myths to manipulate and create packaged consciousness content. These are as follows: the myth of individualism and the myth of personal choice, the myth of media neutrality, the myth of unchanging human nature, the myth that social conflict does not exist, the myth of media pluralism. 3. 5 filters of cultural domination. Schiller's framework. Schiller identified several ways that corporate and state interests shaped public communication. Ownership concentration. Right-pointing arrow media systems are controlled by a small number of giant firms. Advertising dependency. Right-pointing arrow content is shaped to attract advertisers, not to inform citizens. Commercialization of public life. Right-pointing arrow education, news, and even politics are framed through consumer logic. Packaging of ideology. Right-pointing arrow media presents corporate and state agendas as natural or common sense. Cultural standardization. Right-pointing arrow global diversity is replaced by homogeneous, Western content. 3. Global media and cultural imperialism. Schiller's theory became especially influential in debates about globalization and media imperialism. He warned that developing nations were becoming dependent on US-based media flows, undermining local cultures, languages, and alternative worldviews. This created what he called an information dependency. Countries could no longer produce or control their own media narratives. 4. Critiques and legacy. While some critics argued that Schiller's view underestimated audience agency or local resistance, his work remains foundational for understanding how power operates through media systems. Today, in the age of big tech monopolies, surveillance capitalism, global content platforms like Netflix, Meta, and YouTube, Schiller's warnings about cultural domination through information flows feel more urgent than ever. Conclusion: why Schiller still matters. Herbert Schiller taught us that media is not just entertainment. It's a system of soft power, a tool for managing perception, and a vehicle for global economic dominance. Cultural domination, he argued, happens not through force, but through the everyday logic of media and consumption. To understand modern media, we must always ask, who is telling the story, and who profits from how it's told?